Good morning and thank you for your time today. My name is Bella and I'm an independent innovation consultant. Over recent weeks, I have conducted a structured assessment of innovation practice at LSKD, interviewing a senior leader embedded within your operations, reviewing your public positioning, and analysing your approach against current innovation theory and research. What I'm about to share is candid, evidence-based, and comes from genuine respect for what LSKD has built. These findings represent an opportunity, not a criticism. I have identified three core barriers that are currently holding back innovation and growth at LSKD. The first is governance friction. Your approval structures are slowing the very velocity that your culture is built on. The second is reactive technology adoption. The recent AI rollout shows that LSKD is bold enough to be the first, but needs a clear framework to be right. The third is the challenge of scaling your innovation culture as you pursue your billion-dollar ambition. By the end of this presentation, you will have three concrete, actionable steps that you can implement immediately. Briefly on context, LSKD is a Queensland-born activewear brand founded in 2007, now operating with more than 250 staff across Australia, the United States and the United Kingdom. You have achieved over $100 million in annual revenue and have articulated a clear ambition to reach $1 billion this decade. You also named the 2024 Telstra Business of the Year. My findings are based on semi-structured interview with a senior customer experience and operations leader. I am presenting as an external consultant. My role is to offer you the view from outside the building. Before addressing the barriers, let me establish the baseline, because LSKD's strengths are real and they matter. Your values-led culture is genuinely rare. Rather than relying on generic mission statements, LSKD sets what are known as big, hairy, audacious goals. Extremely ambitious, long-range targets that push the organisation far beyond comfortable thinking. Paired with the sweep the shed mindset drawn from the All Blacks philosophy that no one is too important to do the unglamorous work. These principles shape how staff actually behave day to day, not merely what is written on the wall. Your Bend and Flex range is a textbook example of open innovation. A supplier presented your team with a fabric originally developed for maternity wear, and instead of filing it away, LSKD's people asked, "What else can we do with this?" and transformed it into an entirely new product category. The freedom and responsibility policy inspired by Netflix means employees can make spending decisions on the spot without waiting for approval, provided it serves LSKD's best interests. During Black Friday, that meant someone could purchase additional server capacity the moment the site slowed, rather than waiting 2 days for sign-off. And every staff member at LSKD completes 10, 5, and 1 year goal planning, which means innovation is not reactive, it is directional. I emphasize all of this because the barriers I'm about to identify are structural, not motivational. The will to innovate at LSKD is not in question. The first barrier is the tension between governance and velocity. When I asked the senior leader I interviewed what single obstacle she would remove tomorrow, she did not hesitate. The number of checks and balances you have to go through. That is a striking answer from someone inside an organisation whose stated value is to move fast and break things. In innovation theory, this is a classic stage gate versus lean startup tension. Robert Cooper's stage gate model minimises risk through sequential approval checkpoints, but as Cooper himself acknowledges, it suffers from slow adaptation and gate review delays. By contrast, the lean startup approach, build, measure, learn, iterate, is far better suited to LSKD's environment of dynamic markets and customer-facing decisions. An article by Chesbrough and Tucci, writing in 2020, identified this exact tension as a defining challenge for scaling firms: the friction between open innovation and organisational rigidity. LSKD is experiencing that friction right now. But I want to be clear about something, and this is important. Governance is not inherently negative. As Edison and colleagues show in their 2018 study of innovation in large companies, governance becomes essential as financial exposure and brand risk increase. The issue at LSKD is not governance itself. It is a misalignment between governance intensity and decision time. Every day, customer experience, CX, and marketing decisions are being held to the same standard as major capital investments. That is where velocity is being lost. The second barrier is reactive technology adoption. and the AI case study offers the clearest example. LSKD became the first Australian merchant to pilot an AI customer service agent. Bold, innovative. But the system was deployed at full scale from day one. No pilot, cohort, no predefined success metric. Customer satisfaction scores dropped. Customers reacted negatively to AI responses in situations where they expected empathy. The system was pulled back, data was reviewed, and AI was subsequently narrowed to simple queries such as returns and shipping updates. The outcome was eventually correct, but it arrived at reactively, and customer trust took a hit along the way. Silicon Valley entrepreneur and author of the seminal business text The Lean Startup, Eric Riles, is explicit on this point. The entire purpose of a minimum viable product is to enable validated learning before full commitment. Innovation management researchers confirm that success metrics must be defined before launch, not in response to failure. The three elements that were missing here: predefined key performance indicators, KPIs, a phased pilot cohort, and a build, measure, learn, review gate, are precisely what a mandatory pilot protocol would have provided. This is a review gap, not an ambition gap. The third barrier is cultural, and in my assessment, it is the most consequential long term. LSKD's culture works right now because the people who lead this organisation embody the values every single day. But culture that lives in people's head does not automatically scale. With more than 250 staff across 3 countries at $1 billion ambition ahead, the informal transmission model is carrying real risk. Research published by France's leading innovation management school demonstrates that entrepreneurship is not scalable without institutionalization. Practices that prove effective in a 50-person team tend to break down at 250 employees and deteriorate further at 500. The freedom and responsibility policy is the most tangible example. 2 misuse cases have already been recorded. At this scale, that is manageable. At twice the headcount, however, without documented guardrails, the policy risks inconsistent application across international teams who did not grow up inside LSKD's culture from day one. And as LSKD navigates US tariffs and UK compliance requirements, your informal, high-velocity approach may increasingly clash with obligations of a global retailer. What works domestically can expose the organisation internationally. 3 barriers, 3 recommendations. Each is specific, feasible, and comes with a clear-eyed view of the risk involved. For barrier 1, a tiered approval framework. Initiatives under $10,000 or reversible within 30 days bypass a full approval chain. This extends the freedom and responsibility logic you already have into project governance. It is backed by Edison's 2018 research, which shows that implementation success improves significantly when innovation processes have clear, quantified thresholds. The implementation risk is misclassification of complexity, mitigated by clear written criteria reviewed quarterly. For barrier 2, a mandatory pilot protocol. Before any technology goes to full scale, define the success metric upfront. Run a pilot with 10 to 15% of interactions and hold a 30-day data review gate before full rollout. This is the MVP framework applied operationally. The implementation risk is slower initial rollout relative to competitors, but the cost is far lower than the reputational cost of a failed full deployment, as the AI case demonstrated. For barrier 3, an innovation playbook. A living, principle-led guide that documents how innovation actually works at LSKD. BHAG, F&R boundaries, onboarding rationale, and team protocols. This is Lewin's rephrase stage, embedding change into lasting structures. The risk is over-formalizing the very culture it seeks to protect. The mitigation is keeping its principles-led, not rule-led. Guide the thinking, do not prescribe every decision. If these 3 changes are adopted, the picture in 3 to 5 years is genuinely compelling. LSKD will have governance that enables innovation at the speed its culture demands, backed by structured validation that builds confidence rather than friction. You will have a reputation not just for being first to adopt emerging technology, but for being right. And you will have a scalable culture, one that travels internationally with the organisation without depending on any one person being in the room to keep it alive. As I have been told, the reality is you either step into the future or you become a dinosaur. LSKD has never settled for that. These recommendations are about making sure the future you are stepping into is built on solid ground. 3 barriers, 3 recommendations, 1 clear ask. Approve a pilot for the tiered approval framework for CX and marketing initiatives. Commission a pilot protocol template for all future technology adoption decisions. And resource the development of LSKD's first innovation playbook. These are not disruptive changes. They do not require restructuring or significant capital. They are the structural foundations that will protect and extend everything LSKD has already built. LSKD says it does not have competition. It sets the standard. Setting the standard now means building innovation into your systems, not just your walls. Thank you.